Legendary. Icon. Hall of Famer.
Hello, you're watching The Luna Show.
Welcome to The Luna Show. Welcome to The Luna Show.
So right now we are sitting with Tyra Allure.
Well, actually, I'm now the overall mother of the House of La Perla.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really? Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, but your stage name is still Tyra Allure?
Tyra Allure Ross.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. So tell me about that as mother now. Like, what are you planning on doing? And
Well, right now, I am one that wants my kids to be stable before they start coming out and spending money on balls and stuff like that. I want them to perfect their craft, know exactly what they're about, understand the ballroom in itself, and have a tough enough skin to be able to deal with encounters with shade. So right now, I'm trying to get them to stabilize themselves, understand exactly what they want from the ballroom, and then they can make and then we can make our reintroduction into the scene.
right.
Juan is, of course, still the father, and we actually work together at Future Star Studios. So we're also encouraging our children to take their talent into mainstream. You know, but the ballroom scene is, of course, where we start, and the House of La Perla, if nothing, will be back. You know.
Well, that's great. Congratulations on that. I
Thank
did
you.
not know that. That's awesome. So tell me about your history, like your ball history. Like, what got you started? Why ballroom? How did it start?
Well, ballroom for me was the family entity that I was missing. Being West Indian, first off, I didn't know what I was. I knew I liked guys, but the gay thing just didn't seem to be me, and I was no drag queen. So, a drag queen to me is a job. But I met a woman by the name of Tyra Revlon from Baltimore, and I was just walking around St. Paul Street and met her, and she took me to her house and showed me tapes about ballroom, other things, and of course I was at university at the time, so I just didn't, I was like, okay, it's cool. But what attracted me really was the sense of family, the sense of the pride, the ability for them to be able to stand there in Baltimore City, walking back and forth in the streets with Mariah Revlon doing Runway and stuff like that. So I was just like really amazed by this, and I felt comfortable with them. And it's through Shatira that I entered the ballroom, met Enrique and Ariel, and Enrique named me Tyra because he thought I looked like Naomi. And
But why not Naomi?
Just to call from there. I have no idea what their philosophy was. It was Ariel and Enrique. They did their bit. I got a little unnerved because in the beginning I didn't feel like Al wanted me to be a part of the house. But then I had to, do something that kids don't do today. And that is I had to prove myself. And
Right.
of course, we always feel like we shouldn't have to because we're in this ballroom and we're free and we should be whatever and whomever we want to. But there's still a sense of hierarchy. There's still our elders that have come before us who have fought for us to be able to have ballroom. So we should pay homage to them. So Al was a bit hard on me, but I'm thankful for the simple fact that it helped create what you see before you.
A beautiful woman.
Thank you.
So you're from Baltimore? Is that where you were growing up, or is that where you went to
I grew up
school?
in Owings Mills. I grew up in Tobago, which is Trinidad and Tobago. And I moved to Owings Mills, Maryland when I was 15.
Oh.
Graduated from high school at 17. Went to Fayetteville State University. I was an Air Force brat for a little bit. And then I returned to Morgan State. When I got back to Morgan State, I was in that period of, okay, I can't shake this anymore. I'm hanging with Shatira in there. I feel the vibe, and I wanted to be me. And then I got attacked on the premises of school and faced discrimination and prejudice at that point, where it was like, well, if you weren't and I wasn't even flamboyant. I think the word they used was girly. You know, you wouldn't get attacked. And from then I just gave up on that whole issue and just went where I felt comfortable, and that was into ballroom. Mm-hmm. Alyssa met me, brought me to New York. It's in the book.
We're going to get to the book because you wrote a book about your life.
Yeah, thus far, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it was something interesting you said that people don't do today is where kids had to prove themselves before they join a house or... So tell us a little bit about that experience because parents don't do that anymore.
Well, these days, from what I know, mm-hmm. I realize that kids give off this impression that my mother has to be this and my mother has to be that. And it takes me also to the fact of the rapidness in people becoming legends. And people having the ability to have children and, you know, form their own houses and stuff like that. Kids need to realize that the parents have already established who they are. You know, I've done my walk, I've sweat, I've had the shade, I've had it all. And my experience is now to turn around and to guide you into not just being some riffraff or some derelict that's just, you know, one of those, oh girl, there she go again. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't want to be one of those, especially not carrying my name. Mm-hmm. So I believe that kids need to take a step back and realize that to be a part of ballroom, it's about paying homage to those that actually paved the way for you and to those of us who are continuing to try to keep ballroom alive. Right. And, you know, with whatever work we do. And the kids need to start getting out on the floor and enjoying the ballroom again and stop worrying about this legendary status and iconic status. Now, I do believe that a part of that need for that status is because we all want to feel appreciated. We all want to feel accomplished. But in order to feel accomplished, you must work for it. And in order to feel appreciated, you must appreciate yourself first. And with that, this is why people like Eunice Cleopatra, you know, would get onto the ballroom floor and the confidence and self-esteem that she exuded, that's what ballroom is about. That's what these kids need to learn. Not fighting if you get chopped and cursing each other and all these negative things that happen in Facebook groups and online. I mean, I feel that's just being weak and being coward. Stand up for who you are. Get out there on the floor. Show what you can do. And if you get chopped, do like I did. Perfect it until you get it. It's simple. Practice makes perfect.
Right. So when you came to New York, tell us about that era of New York that's no longer here, really.
Whoa. It is in the time.
Because, New York's changed so much. People don't know when some of the elders say, oh, it's not what it used to be.
I think every generation says that. Oh, it's not what it used to be. Oh,
that's
these kids are crazy. Oh, it's always the same thing. Mm-hmm. But when I came to New York, we were hanging out at the pier. I walked onto the pier, and I was just totally amazed to see all these gay and trans people.
It's like Wonderland.
Yeah, it's literally, it was like Wonderland. It was like you crossed that highway, if you made it across, though, because
right, you have to be careful.
Many people died there. And you get across to the other side, and you see these people just loving and living life. They may not have had a lot of money or anything like that, but they were happy. Mm-hmm. Then the clubs, we went out to clubs, we hung out, I did my dirt, everything, but it was fun. We were shady, but we were not as shady to this, like, these kids go ham in a second, it's like flipping a minute. But for us, we would read each other, but it was still out of love. It didn't go much further than that.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, yes, there was violence. There was a lot of negativity. But a lot of us pushed through that and still persevered and still kept the integrity of ballroom.
Right.
But, oh my gosh, back then was it. Mm-hmm. Even just hanging out on 14th Street.
Don't you miss it sometimes?
Oh, 42nd Street and Show World with the legendary girls. You would walk into there, and, I mean, that was the whole concept.
Well, Danielle Revlon's picture was on the outside, right?
Oh, yes. My gosh. That was an amazing woman. Her Octavia, Moldavia, Candidly, Portia LaBeija, may God rest their souls.
yeah.
These kids missed a lot.
Right.
They really did.
So some of the girls that you just mentioned, were those the girls when you first came out, you were like, wow?
Not even wow, like dumbfounded.
Mm-hmm.
They were elegant, glamorous, you know, and it reminded me of like Dynasty come to life. And I was in awe of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Pepper Ora Montana, one of my favorites, because her attitude was just so regal, so amazingly beautiful. So, yeah.
Wow. So you participate in the pageant system as well.
Yes, I have.
So tell us about that experience and how does one start that?
Well, see, for me, someone said, you should do this.
Mm-hmm.
And the ballroom was already kind of, I walked a ball in Brooklyn at the women's YMCA, I believe, and it was against Renee Caron. And it was for face, and I always felt like I was being shysted for face. The kids didn't see it. I went through that whole period. It's in the book. So I decided that I wanted to do something different. So I got into, and I wanted to make money because I'm really not one of those girls that's into escorting. So I've done it, but I'm not into it. Mm-hmm. So I decided to want more. So I started doing shows because I realized I could make tips and it wasn't just, you know, having fun, because I really couldn't make money in the ballroom scene. Categories were not always cash.
They weren't all 5,000.
Yeah.
Like
Right? So I got into working with Princess Janae. She was actually my father. There's a chapter of that in the book also. And started doing shows. Then I entered the Two Potato Princess pageant. I came in first runner-up. Mm-hmm. Esquilita saw me. They brought me in as a cast member, as an understudy. Then the word was I had to go to Continental. I didn't know what was happening, so a lot of people just came together. I had never met Tommy Ross before. She sent me a gown, all that stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. It is not an easy thing getting into pageants because, again, it is competition. But there's a sense of accomplishment that's there when you are able to sit back and look at yourself after you compete, you know, and you critique yourself or you are amazed by yourself, whichever or. But pageantry it is a job. Mm-hmm. It is hard, but I will say it is for the determined.
Right. It's harder than ballroom, you think? Probably, right?
Yes,
because presentation and
you have presentation, you have evening wear, you have talent, and talent can take a lot from you because they're props. I mean, some girls spend thousands. The year in 2005, the last year I competed at Continental, I broke down simply because I was spending all this money. I wasn't guaranteed anything, and that's the downside to pageants. You really put forward, and everyone, of course, thinks that they are the winner, or they should win. And you look at this thing, and you sacrifice a lot. Some people lose their apartments, you know, they go without food, they take extra dates. You know, we really put ourselves out there just to get on that stage and feel beautiful and to feel some sense of accomplishment. That title, you know, Miss Continental or Miss Esquilita or whatever, just that miss and something else is what a lot of us strive for. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, I went to Continental once, and it was the most wonderful experience I ever had. Like the talent, and it's just beautiful.
The talent numbers.
That's always my favorite.
Yeah, but the evening gowns also. These girls spent $20,000 on an evening gown. I mean, it really was.
Well, the year I won, I think a girl wore a dress that was by the guy who did the one for the girl who won Miss Universe.
Yes, yeah, I'm telling you. And for
so
me,
they do spend, I believe that, a lot of money.
They do. However, I felt, though, that in this pageantry, because of the type of community that we are, we should try to minimize the cost for our girls. Because, come on, a lot of girls have to do certain things to make their money. And when you have girls competing in $20,000, $25,000 gowns, against a girl that is, doesn't really have the money to get that, or doesn't have the sponsorship for something like that, immediately there's a downer, a feeling of inferiority.
I always thought that everybody was sponsored by this specific club or something.
That's where you guys are wrong. They give you,
they just pay for the room.
They pay for your room, your flight there, and I think they
That's
give you...
it? Oh, Escuelita's cheap.
No, not just Escuelita. Let's not just talk about...
Because I remember Crash, too. You used to do Crash?
I did Crash, but Crash didn't have a continental premium. But when you did the Crash pageant, I did the Crash pageant twice. Once I was totally unprepared. The other time I was forced to, because I was a cast member. And I felt that cast members should not be competing for the Miss Crash pageant. But I did it. That person ended up no longer working with us, and we moved to what was that place we were at again on 23rd Street?
You're talking about Crash, right?
Yeah, when we moved from Queens.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't see.
It's on 23rd. Was
23rd.
I don't remember.
And you were there so many
I
times.
know, it's
Wait, I worked there and I got there. So, it's not the Alzheimer's. I'm not there yet.
Well, I mean, half of those years are like a blur for some reason.
Well, I'll tell you.
And I wasn't even doing anything.
No, but I was. So, no, I was. So some of those, and I thank God, because when I look back at the amount of fun, and don't mistake it, I'm not condoning it or whatever, but at the things that I did, drinking and I mean, come on, we would drink and party for 4 or 5 days at a time. So I thank God that I'm healthy and I'm still here.
And beautiful. You mentioned Tommy Ross. That's your mom, and
Tommy
that's
Ross
like
is one of my mothers. I do believe that it takes many, especially when we're coming into this lifestyle. One mother may not be it. I hear kids, today talking about, oh, well, she used to be my mother, and she's not my mother anymore. For me, every mother that I've had, every father that I've had, has played a part in my life, and I address them as such. So Ariel Allure has been my mother, Aura Sinclair, Alex, Modavia LaBeija, Tommy, and Tommy Ross. They're all my parents. As far as my fathers go, that would be Enrique Allure, Al Allure,
Is Hector?
Janae. Yes.
Hector too, right?
Hector is my father.
So how do you manage all these parents? What do you do on Father's Day and Mother's Day?
Call them all, tell them I love them, and tell them that I really appreciate them. Hector, was my father, and Hector helped me with Continental. He gave me a lot of inspiration, and he believed in me. Even from the first time I was going. The extravaganzas have been really incredible to me. I just never really officially became an extrava, but that's where my parentage it lies.
Right.
And Hector helped to sponsor me for the Continental pageant, and he's always and constantly is a part of my life. Tommy Ross, an amazing woman. She's on the cover of Swerve this month. Yay, Mom. I'm so proud of her.
She's wonderful. I got the privilege of meeting her several times. Amazing.
Educated, brilliant woman, brilliant entertainer, but all around an incredible person, a person with a heart. They say that women with such power tend to be standoffish or cold. My mother is nowhere, not even within like a planet of being cold. She's very warm, very receptive, and she's not really scolding, but when she speaks to you, you feel like you get the message, but you don't feel like you've been berated or put down, and that is one quality I really admire about my mom.
Yeah, it's funny because I get those texts that she sends every day. And it always seems to like match with how I'm feeling for that day. It's almost like she knows what's going on in my brain. Isn't that amazing though that she picks it right?
Very insightful. Mother's intuition.
Very interesting. So you've written a book.
Yes, I wrote it.
Tell us all about it.
Oh my God. It was therapy. I love writing. First off, I never got to complete my college degree, because of, again, discrimination, being from the islands. My grandmother said, people don't educate people like you. So from then I kind of felt pulled back. Being Pisces, I love nature. I love the whole, the aspect. I'm a dreamer, so I did want to write. I started writing in 1999, but all I could write about was my molestation. I didn't really have, and that was just, So as time went by, pageants, the ballroom, the working with Bronx Community Pride Center, doing all those things, I had a lot on my plate. I didn't give HIV results because I didn't like to do HIV testing, because I didn't think I had the capacity to be able to relate that, but I seemed to be always working with people that were infected and affected, because I've always said I'm not infected, but I am very, very much affected. So, So I didn't want to do the testing. I ended up doing the testing at one point in time, and I ended up giving a 13-year-old a positive result, and they were really like happy about it. Now I'm gonna get my apartment, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And it troubled my soul, it moved my spirit to a place of defeat. And about that same time, recurring nightmares came, and I basically suffered a nervous breakdown. I couldn't work anymore. I have so many secrets. I mean, so many people have confided things in me that it just got to the point where it was full. This was just, and I have my own issues dealing with my parents, and other things. And I snapped, and I had a nervous breakdown. I didn't make it public. Of course, I was embarrassed. I was supposed to be the strong woman. A lot of my kids were really there for me. And once I recovered from that, I started medication, started going to therapy. And once I was in therapy, I decided to write about everything that I was experiencing, because I felt like it would help the nightmares stop. Because even on medication and in therapy, the nightmares didn't stop. I just found the strength to just move through them. Mm-hmm. But now I needed to deal with them. I needed to face my own reality. So I said, I'll write it, and then I'll be able to read it back to myself and see exactly who I am and what's going on with me. Mm-hmm. And I wrote from the beginning of 2011. And in the end of 2011, I took that book, because I was trying so hard to protect myself, to write as I was writing from someone else's point of view, because still there was that feeling of putting my entire life out there, talking about drugs, talking about immigration, all that stuff would, take me away from that place of, being there for people. I thought that I'd be looked down upon. Mm-hmm. And as I wrote, my spirit again moved me, and I decided, you have to put yourself out there. Because when girls contact me on Facebook and they talk about the things that they're going through, and they say, Tyra, you don't know because you're fabulous, and you're this, and I'm like, who are you? Who is this Tyra you're talking about? And my dad, Larry, one of my fathers, who was one of the main characters in my life, and I think I probably left him out because I was kind of mad at him when he died. Because he was really a strength to me, really like that basic Southern molding strength, and he passed away. So that kind of rocked me. But, well, Luna, this is deep. So
What did you learn about yourself writing the book?
I'm getting there, babe. I was going through all of this, and then I realized, that I wasn't the only one facing the issues that I faced. Mm-hmm. And I decided that I was going to put it out there for everyone to have access to it if they wanted. I learned that I was a drug addict. I mean, I am a drug addict. I learned that I took risks and chances with my life that if it weren't for the grace of God, I could have been dead. I learned that the things that happened to me were not my fault. And because certain things happened to me, it even though they move me, they shouldn't create a negativity in me. I had to find the positive in my life in order for me to be able to move forward. And in reading my life, I kind of got to the sense of, whoa, these were characters that I was talking about and not actually talking about myself. And I had to relate. I had to learn to say sorry. I had to learn to forgive myself. I had to learn to forgive other people. I had to learn to, well, I'm still extremely critical of myself, but I had to learn to give the love that I wanted to receive, no matter if I wasn't getting it. So I started to see myself not from a tit-for-tat point of view, but from an understanding point of view. You know, I realized that when you look at someone, you see them as they are now. You don't know the history that created that individual. And that's why, you know, and learning that, I realized that we are so hard on each other in the ballrooms community and in other communities as well. You know, and I learned that I needed to give love to the people in my community. Whether you're an escort, whether you're one of the girls that is free with your sexuality, or, you know, whatever you are, you're still a human being. And it's not for me to judge you, you know, because judging you means that I can't face my own weaknesses. You know, so I learned to not, I really didn't judge before, but I really learned that from proofreading, going back through my book, you know.
So the book, how many years it took you? Because you say you started in 99?
Yeah, I started in 99. So I would say, and I released in 2013, so I would say 14 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that must have been, well, of course it was therapeutic, but it's also like, was it, when you read it back, and how do you see yourself, you know? Like, because you see the layers, you see...
I'm in awe.
Because nothing in life is a mistake, right?
No, I believe everything happens for a reason. But some things that happen, we have to find the strength within us to be able to move forward so we can do what our calling is. And I was sitting at, we had a conversation with Michael Roberson with his thesis at Union Theology, the Union Seminary, the Theological Seminary. And in this room, I saw other people, other peers of mine, strip their layers away. You know, and I got to that sense of, this is what we need, you know? And I started to, you're gonna have to edit that part because you got me. Whew. Okay.
So your book.
Yeah, my book.
So, I mean, is it a book that we're all gonna be able to get and read and you know, and ask you questions and learn from you?
Well, of course. That's the reasoning for it. It's available on Amazon and on CreateSpace.
Oh, so it's already out.
Yes.
Oh my God, I have to get a copy.
It's called The Transsexual from Tobago. Tobago is spelled Tobago. And here's where it gets crazy. It's authored by Dominique Jackson. I am Dominique Jackson.
Okay.
That is actually my legal married name. And after I hit enter, I felt like myself again. Because Tyra Allure Ross was actually that girl that came forward that took the brunt of hardship and issues. You know, and not to sound schizophrenic or losing it, because yeah, I am loony. But after I hit enter, it was like, okay, I am now Dominique Jackson. I'm back to the person that was actually initially who I was supposed to be, you know, and who I am. So yeah, so it's available on Amazon and CreateSpace. It's The Transsexual from Tobago by Dominique Jackson. And it will be available in Spanish in the morning, I believe.
Cool. So it's interesting because okay, so Tyra Ross, Allure Ross, is the character.
Yeah.
Or the one that protected you from Dominique, right?
No, not
Or
technically.
not from Dominique, but who protect Dominique.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting though, because it's almost like Norma Jean, Marilyn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's okay. So Norma Jean was the one that was in the inside. So that kind of makes sense that we create these characters within ourselves to kind of protect ourselves from people and things and situations. And in a way, that's kind of like what you said.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
And what we need to realize, that's what a lot of our ballroom community is doing.
Right.
They're creating characters to protect themselves, you know? And when you strip away those layers, you find trauma, pain, you know, a lot of things.
So as a community, how can we best support each other with situations like this? Like,
Well, sometimes you're gonna have to be strong enough to accept that when you try to help someone, it's gonna be a difficult road. You know, sometimes I see people yell at each other and all that stuff. In this community, those of us who have faced our realities, who understand our calling, and who are able to say, yes, I was wrong, or I was bad, or I did this, and you know, this is what shaped me and created my life. But I would not like for you to go down that road. We're gonna have to deal with them cursing us out, calling us old, and I think. But we have to strive. We have to be determined, just like we were determined back in the day to continue and to be ballroom and to make ballroom where we were always glamorous. Now we have to get back to that and put that work back in, and not just sit back and say, okay, I'm legend.
interesting. So you are a working model. Do you put that in the book too about your modeling career?
I have.
You know, it's interesting because all these years I always said Tyra should be a model, and you were actually doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was. I'm not one that tries to brag
Yeah,
on
you don't.
myself. But
You should.
well,
Well, a little bit.
Thank you. It is a great accomplishment for a designer to actually see me and believe that I can carry their clothing and represent them. You know, for a very long time, I would have to do shows, and it was a part of it, not talk about it because they didn't want the trans experience. And that was especially in the USA. They don't want the trans experience to be, you know, put out there. But we are the ones that can carry the clothing. They'll hire us to do background work, backstage work. So when a guy by the name of Zoe started booking me for Brooklyn Fashion Week and taking me to shows and saying to me, you know what, I'm nervous going, why, I can't do this, they're gonna know. Mind you, no, like, breasts hardly there or whatever, back in the late 90s. And he's like, look at these women in this room. What's different to you than them? And my girl Eve was also modeling with me too. And we would be there and just like so nervous and scared. And it took many years for me to do it until eventually I said, you know what? When I walk into a casting, it's not about, you know, what you think I am. It's about my ability to wear your clothes. It's about my ability to take that photo. So now that Adrian Alicea, Darius Wobel, and a few other couturiers have been hiring me, it's really a great accomplishment.
That's great. Do you ever sit down and talk to Tracy Africa about?
I so want to talk to Tracy. I got the opportunity to talk to her, I believe, at the Legends Ball when, last year. That was at Webster Hall.
She needs to write a book.
I so want her to write a book. I'm like, Tracy, can I please write your book? I'm like, that woman is amazing. And for what she did, you know, and was able to get that cover to walk the runways. Now it's an honor for me to be able to do it. So I don't want to play with it at all. You know, so for me, it's not about posting every picture that I take, or every time I have a show, I'm going to post, oh, I'm going to be here, blah, blah, blah. I want to encourage people, you know, and I want them to take it. I don't want them to see it from a braggish point of view. I just want other girls to know that
it's an accomplishment.
you can do it.
Yeah.
Now all I need to do is just get really paid.
Where do you get your walk? Because you have like one of the best walks ever. I think you walk better than Naomi Campbell.
Oh, D. I know. See, now she's going to throw something at me. No,
She's probably gonna want to see it now.
to be honest with you, I don't know. I came to Devin Elite's ball, and I stood at the back of the runway, and I started to walk, and it went from there. I didn't believe. I see that's the problem with a lot of us. We may have talent. We have talent, and some of us don't believe in it, and others believe way too much in it. So I was one of those who just didn't, okay, to me it's just a walk. But as the years went by, and I am now growing into the skin of understanding that I do have a talent and I can walk.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to say it came naturally.
I see. I mean, it's interesting because when I watch you, it's almost like, you're a show on its own, It's like, and I think I've judged before, and you were walking, and all I could do is just sit there with my mouth open. But that's what you do to everyone, too, because I look at everybody else, and they're all, like, sitting there, like, mesmerized.
Yeah, I don't...
It's like Medusa walking through. So, part of the book, you're talking about your experiences and with trans, and I know you've done a lot of work and conversations around transgender, and for people who don't know what that is, because it's always defined differently, how will you describe transgender, and what does that mean?
Well, gender deals with the brain, and sex deals with the organs.
Mm-hmm.
So, a transgender person, to me, would be one that can accept the opposite sex as a part of them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you may get in drag, you are a cross-dresser, you are under the transgender umbrella. Now here's where it gets a bit tricky. Under the transgender umbrella is the transsexual, because from birth, my brain has told me that I am a woman. I am a girl. Okay? They trained me to be a boy. Forced me to try to be a boy. But that didn't work. But I still have that experience with me. So I believe that transsexual is another category under the transgender umbrella. Then under transsexual, you have the pre-operative, the post-operative, and now the non-operative.
Mm-hmm. So, part of the work that you do is trying to break down the barriers and the stigma that people have with trans people. Tell us a little bit about your experience in that, and the work that you do behind that, because you do a lot, actually.
Well, really?
Yeah, I've seen you in panels talking about it, and.
Well, here's the thing. I believe that once we have the freedom to, or that thing inside of us says, okay, you know what, you're a girl, or you know what, okay, you're a guy, for the females. There's a freedom that comes with it that just pushes us out there. Now, and I believe it also goes for cisgender females. Because when they start to develop and they start showing breasts and curves, the clothes get shorter and tighter, and we go through that. So I always say that the transsexual is actually going through puberty at a later stage. I'm trying to be politically correct all across the board, right? Say that question. Yeah, give me that.
Well, it's just basically your experience in breaking down the barriers that, because in a way you are like a transgender warrior. A lot of people look to you for knowledge and to learn from.
I didn't want to say, but I'm just going to go there with it. I believe that a lot of us, once we find ourselves, we go straight to the sexual part of it. We become hypersexual, and it's about that. I was really not hypersexual, but for some girls it is. And then now we use our sexuality to validate us. If we don't get this guy, we're not really a girl. If we don't do this, And through my experience, after everything that I have, been through, the turmoil, the trauma, I don't want any and every man touching me. My validation is not going to come from whether a guy tells me I'm real or I'm not. You know, whether a guy loves me or not. Because, like I said, raised to play that role of a boy, but I was intuitively female. So now I'm not going to forget everything that I know that I was told that I was supposed to do when a guy approaches me. So from my experience, I think that our girls need to start learning to validate themselves more and realize if you're going to do something, do it because it's what you want to do. You know, don't do it because you feel like that's all that can be done. Because, I mean, hello, I'm sitting right here.
Okay, so lately there's been, a little bit of controversy. I don't think it's controversial, but it can be. There's terms that we use in ballrooms, such as female figure, that a lot of trans women don't like. And then there's femme queen, which is something that we've been using for 40 years probably, right? The term femme queen in the ballroom scene. How do you feel about those words? And, ballroom has evolved.
Yes, ballroom has evolved, and it goes for everything in life. We're going to evolve, and we have to learn to appreciate that. You know, it's a part of life. Back in the day when they, and Ayana put it best at the conversation we had at the theology school, Union Theological Seminary, because she said the femme queen was actually an extension of the butch queen, right? And I could see where that is. Here's the thing. When it comes into, I don't like labels, all those labels at all. Because we're human beings, we're individuals, and we shouldn't try to categorize everyone, even though some of us may fit into a category. I do not like the term femme queen because I know better now. You know, I am not the extension of a butch queen. I am a woman. If a woman cannot have children, that doesn't make her a man, even though some people may feel that way. That's what we knew back then, the femme queen. We didn't even know words like trans woman or some transgender and all this stuff. So it's a work in progress as we're coming along. And I believe that the powers to be in ballroom should really sit and discuss it, because this ballroom scene started with us. It's the trans women that started it. Actually, it was Derek that pointed out at the same seminary that it was 40 years last Sunday to date when a male first started walking balls. It was always about the girls. And now you guys are taking over. And then you forget about us. Like you want to push us to the side and just throw us categories and not even take the time out to...
Well, I joined the scene because I was in awe of the girls. So when I first came into the scene was because I wanted to see more. Because I saw some at the pier.
Right.
And they were like, oh, come to the ball. And I was like, oh, no, I want to see more girls. Because at the time, I myself thought that I wanted to be.
See, that's
a different show.
So now with the femme queen now, okay, it's
go ahead.
more like the extension of the butch queen. But now we accepted that. You know, we didn't know anything else. Now it's different. We have post-operative transsexuals. We have transsexuals. We understand now a little bit more of what the term transgender means.
Right.
So we should and a lot of guys don't even want to be called butch queens. Why can't we just be men, women, cisgender, non-cisgender? As simple as that. Maybe we're looking for the spicy way to call it, but let's start respecting each other. You know.
I think at one time it was like that, wasn't it? I think I want to say I saw male categories. It said male.
Yeah, I think
and then another
saw
was
that
female.
At one ball at some point in time. But we need to start respecting each other and just stop, negating the feelings of the masses. Now here's the next thing. There are some girls that are femme queens. They are an extension of the butch queen. They don't want to be women. They have no desire to identify. And that's the key word that has to play in all these labels. Identification. So these girls identify as, okay, I am a femme queen. And yes, I have stood at times jaw dropped when the most beautiful young women have said, I'm a dude. And I'm looking at them as though, well, I don't see a dude. And now, Miss Tyra, girl, you know, and it's about the identification. And so I believe that we should have a conversation around the titles and around the categories of the balls also.
Okay, because that was going to be my next question. How, as a community, can we change all of this if, you know?
We all have to learn to stop thinking about self.
But a lot of people also have to learn everything that you just told us. A lot of people don't look at the differences, and they don't, you know, really get into the titles. They just want to go and enjoy a ball in a category.
But you can't enjoy it's difficult for you to enjoy something if there are people that are participating that are not actually fully thrilled with what's happening. So it's like, well, I don't have a choice, so I'm gonna have to walk femme queen categories. And then when the girls try to stand up, it becomes this big play of us becoming oppressors, telling people that you cannot identify like that. This is not your identification. You cannot do this. So we just need to start by showing the whole world an example and try to eliminate that or break it down to its simplest form, where everyone feels included.
So how do you suggest that? So
That's
people that are watching.
No, I just really suggest, you know, let's start thinking about how we would feel if people took our identification and tried to take it away or switch it around.
Right.
Again, it's about being inclusive. Let's find terms that include everyone.
Okay.
If we're gonna say female figure, it means you know, that's a bit.
But then there's
offensive
people that
also.
don't. There's people that don't like that.
You know, just say female. You know, and
But then how will we then separate? You know, because there are women at the ball, biological women. That's the term.
Cisgender.
What is it?
Cisgender.
Cis?
Yeah.
What that mean?
Cisgender means you are now 2013.
So, I mean, you're teaching me.
2014 terminology. Cisgender is that, I think the hair got in my eye. Cisgender is that you are born, the gender that you're assigned at birth is the gender that you carry throughout your life.
Okay.
Yeah, got that right. That was from another panel 2 weeks ago.
Now this is interesting because we all got to learn this, and that's how the only way we're gonna break the stigmas on a lot of issues that we have is by having conversations, and we rarely come together.
No, we don't.
As a community,
we'll go buy shoes before we come together.
So that's something that we all need to do, right?
Yeah.
It's just have a conversation and try to change. So okay, so what's a message you would like to tell young ladies out there about life?
Life is to be a series of adventures launched from a solid foundation. And ladies, it's about who you feel you are. You don't have to be this over the top, you know, over processed, you know, woman. Just take your time. The hormone process is a second puberty, and please enjoy that process. The hastiness to have the body yaddy at times, really, ladies, when I see some of you, your bodies look great in clothes, but are you healthy? Is what's happening on the inside healthy? Have you checked that out for quite a while? See your doctors. It is 2014. There is no need for any of you to be taking hormones off the street. Oh my gosh, you have the amazing Dr. Ayana, Christian Golden Girl. Call her up, ask her advice. She's one of the sweetest women you could ever meet. You know, but stop harming yourselves and take your time. We're not all gonna die tomorrow. You know, and if we do, well, it's what was supposed to be. But please, take your time. especially when dealing with hormones. And less is more. Okay, those 3-4 cc shots that you take, the body does not. The body only takes what it needs, and the rest of it gets processed and it leaves the body. So you're doing yourself more harm. And try to get involved with patches, hormone patches. You stick them on the skin, they stay there. It gives you a constant rate with your hormones. Yeah, one more thing. Some of you mess with some of the dirtiest boys I have ever met in my life. Ladies, you are of an essence that is amazing. Allow yourselves to meet men that will love you and take care of you. And take care of you in a way emotionally and physically. You know, it's not, you don't need a man to validate you. And don't think that I'm saying that because I've been with one for 16 years or whatever. And when I say dirty, I mean of mind and body, where they're not out to improve you. When you get into relationships, it should be about growth, okay? Not about someone becoming someone else. It's about the two of you coming together and forming your own path. So, understand yourselves, research yourselves, try to get to know yourselves first and foremost before you try to go out there and put yourselves in harm's way.
Well, Tyra, thank you so much for this.
Yeah, Luna, it took forever. It's like, wow, yeah. We were supposed to be doing this for quite a while.
No, but I'm glad we waited a little. Because your book and...
Yeah, but Luna, I just have to give you a shout out because ever since from a younger girl, I always used to just sit and watch you in amazement and admiration. And more people need to take example from you. I mean, I don't know when we actually had our child, but we do share our child. And
shout out to Kyle.
yeah, hi baby.
He's such a sweetie.
Yes, he is, right? And sometimes I listen to him and I hear you, you know, but Luna, you are one of you, Michael Roberson, are some of the most amazing people in our community. And, you know, you're phenomenal, and people should continue to listen to you and try to support and listen to your stories. You need to write a book.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I want to read that one. I want everything.
Well, thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome, love.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Exclusive. Legendary. Icon. Hall of Famer.
Hello, you're watching The Luna Show.